Pretended to be a handsome guy to find out if I would had a chance. Evan never thought he was ugly, just invisible, the kind of guy people forgot seconds after meeting him. One lonely night, scrolling through TikTok, he tried a handsome guy filter that sharpened his jaw, deepened his eyes, and gave him an effortless confidence. On impulse, he posted a video. The response was instant, likes flooded in, comments flirted shamelessly, and strangers called him attractive like it was a fact. Addicted to being seen, Evan built the persona, posting charming clips and smooth captions, pretending the face on the screen was truly his. Then Lila appeared in his comments, funny and thoughtful instead of thirsty. Their messages turned into long conversations about movies, fears, and late-night doubts. Evan told her the truth about everything except the filter, convincing himself that once she knew him, it wouldn't matter. When she suggested meeting for coffee, fear hit hard, but he agreed anyway. At the cafe, Lila scanned the room for the guy from TikTok, confusion flashing across her face when Evan stood and said her name. The disappointment hurt more than he expected. Evan confessed about the filter, the lie, and the loneliness that caused it, and waited for her to leave. Instead, she sat down, saying borrowed confidence never lasts, and while deception stung, honesty still counted. They talked for hours, awkward but genuine. Evan didn't know if there would be another date, but that night he deleted the filter, posted as himself, and finally felt real. He came home from school with his backpack hanging off one shoulder, tie crooked, that polite little smile still glued to his face like he hadn't figured out yet that being 12 gave him the right to be sloppy. "Hey," he said, as if he were entering a library instead of our apartment. "How was your day?" Mine was long. His was clearly better. He followed me into the kitchen, buzzing. Not the annoying kind, just barely containing himself. He waited until I turned around before he spoke, because that's how he was raised. "We made our own gum in chemistry today." I laughed. "You made what?" "Gum," he repeated, proud. He unzipped his backpack and carefully took out a small plastic package, clear and crinkly. Inside were uneven little squares, pastel-coloured. We could choose flavours. There was mint, cola, strawberry, even chili. "Chili gum," I said. "That sounds like a prank." He grinned. "I chose blueberry." Of course he did. He went on, explaining everything with serious enthusiasm, how they mixed things, how it stretched, how the teacher kept saying process like it was sacred. Then his voice dropped slightly, like he was confessing a crime. "But we're not allowed to eat it until tomorrow," he said. "Chemical process or something." He said it needs time. "And you'll wait," I said, already knowing the answer. "Yes," he said immediately. Too immediately. Then, softer. "Of course." The gum went back into his backpack. Dinner simmered. The evening settled into its usual quiet rhythm. Later, when the food was ready, I called his name. Once. Twice. No answer. I frowned, wiped my hands on a towel, and went upstairs, already annoyed in that older sister way that assumes laziness before danger. I pushed his door open. He was on the floor. His eyes were open but unfocused, his lips parted, thick white foam bubbling at the corners of his mouth. It moved when he breathed, too slow, too wrong. One hand was curled near his chest. Beside him lay the plastic gum package, half empty. For one stupid frozen second, my brain tried to argue. Maybe it's a prank. Maybe it's drool. Maybe. Then I screamed his name. I dropped to my knees, shaking him, the smell hitting me, sweet and chemical and wrong. "Blueberry," I realised distantly. My hand slipped on the foam as I tried to wipe it away, like that would fix anything. "You were supposed to wait," I whispered uselessly. "You always wait." His mouth twitched, just barely, and a fresh bubble of foam spilled out. My hands fumbled for my phone. My heart pounded so loud it felt like it might drown him out. And in the doorway the house stood perfectly still, holding its breath, while I begged the world not to punish a boy for believing rules were enough to keep him safe.
Crimson Secrets. Ava sensed the distance before she ever saw the proof. The way her boyfriend's laughter grew softer around her and louder with everyone else. When she finally uncovered the truth, it wasn't just the cheating that hurt, but the realization that every sweet word he had spoken lately had been a cover for something cruel. Her heart felt heavy, like it was learning how to break in slow motion, yet beneath the pain, a quiet strength began to rise. She understood then that betrayal doesn't just end love, it teaches you exactly how much you deserve.
The arrogant girl on our school blamed her boyfriend for being in the way as she fell. Loud cracks of chips and chocolate. Madison strutted through the hallway with that same cruel confidence, barely listening as Tyler tried to keep up beside her. When she slipped and crashed down on top of him, the crack of his ribs was followed by his raw scream of pain echoing off the lockers. Instead of helping, she shoved herself up and shouted that it was his fault for being in the way, her voice sharp and furious as if she were the victim. As he gasped and cried on the floor, clutching his side, the crowd finally saw her for what she was, someone whose pride was far heavier than her body. Ah, the satisfying downfall of our drama queen. Carla loved being the loudest and most dramatic girl in school, always turning the smallest moment into a performance. During a fire drill, she decided to fake a faint for attention but misjudged her fall and crashed straight into the principal, knocking his glasses off and sending papers flying everywhere. The hallway filled with stunned silence before her best friend burst out laughing, and soon the entire class joined in. As Carla sat in detention later, she realized that for once the joke wasn't on everyone else, it was on her.
One guy from college was exposed cheating with a grumpy old teacher while a basketball game. Ryan had been living two lives, the devoted college boyfriend in the stands and the reckless secret lover hidden behind the court's giant banner with his former teacher. Every stolen touch felt dangerous and intoxicating, but the guilt gnawed at him as he heard his girlfriend cheering just a few feet away. Then the banner ripped and thundered to the floor, revealing them in front of the entire arena. A wave of gasps turned into furious shouts as the crowd pointed and roared, "Cheater, cheater," their voices crashing over him like a storm. As his girlfriend's face filled with shock and betrayal, Ryan felt the thrill die instantly, replaced by a crushing shame he knew he deserved.